Good afternoon, guys. So, this week's been a rough week. Yesterday was the only green and green day this week. Monday, Tuesday, red on options. Yesterday, which was Wednesday, green on options and futures. Today was my first red and red day this week. Red on options as per usual this week, and then also first red day on futures as well. And it was a bright red day. But let's review yesterday's trades real quick because I said I was going to do it and I did not. Here's pretty much the setup. We have a lot of demand. We have pivots overhead. I'm going to be super quick with this review. Here are the pivots overhead on ES. Right before market open, we even validated a majority of this drop already. I am bullish. ES has swept buy-side liquidity down here, so we have a liquidity sweep to support this move. We've invalidated a majority of the move. NQ is coming out of demand. We have no supply in the way right now. I'm bullish, and, well, NQ was a hell of a lot stronger than ES, as you can see. Looked freaking beautiful. So I'm obviously bullish to at least ES supply, and then these pivots, which means I am bullish on NQ, because NQ is stronger, even though it's at supply. I'm bullish on NQ to get to the nearest point of major liquidity, which is this supply and then this pivot here. This is the first trade. Now, I've taken this same trade on Monday and Tuesday. What happened pretty much Monday and Tuesday in short is I was bullish initially, took the trade pretty much at market open, which I don't really like taking trades at market open, but every market open has such a decisive candle. I don't enter these trades full size most of the time because contracts decay, right? Otherwise, I would. IV is at the highest point. It's going to be all day at market open, so too risky. But anyways, I take a trade here. I already lost twice in a row on this exact trade. What are the odds I lose 3 times in a row? NQ looked so good. NQ was so much stronger. And it might have been ES first. I don't remember which one. But anyways, I enter calls. And yeah, it stopped out. I actually stopped out here. Actually stopped out here yesterday, pretty early. I think I was actually, if I can remember correctly, I didn't enter right at market open. No, I didn't. Yesterday was a little different. I didn't enter right at market open. I entered after market open, right when this red candle invalidated, and it was, yes, it was SPX calls, and then I added very light QQQ calls when it flipped stronger. Very light size, though. So this was first trade, stopped out early. I think it was like minus 20% or something. Couldn't get triggered in anything else because of demand. Re-entered the same trade right when this selling wick invalidated here on SPX and on QQQ. I entered QQQ first because it was stronger. And same trade. Literally the same exact trade that I already took. Same TA momentum, and it was freaking glorious. It shot up pretty hard, cleared 100% gains. So that was my day yesterday. Very mild loss in the beginning, massive win for my second trade, and that was it. So that was beautiful. Just the same, literally the same kind of trades I always do. Now let's go to today's nightmare. Now you guys know I'm not a breakout trader in the sense that I wait for a breakout to enter, but I'm a breakout trader in the sense that I bet on a breakout happening. I mean, I trade the first hour only, the most volatile time of the stock market out of all the time you can trade it. The U.S. market open is the most volatile, with the most volume and the most momentum. Statistically reliable to bet that the market's going to move a direction, right? And we went pretty much 3 weeks in a row of not having a single red day. And I told you guys at the end of Thursday of last week, I said, you know, this green streak's been going pretty long. I'm definitely due for an unlucky streak. And it, sure enough, it just magically happened. Anyways, here's the analysis for today's pre-market analysis. We're in pretty heavy demand. Not really anything. I have, this pivot below on ES, but it's protected by a lot of demand. Supply and demand has been super strong lately. This Iran war has made the market so indecisive. And it's because of the fundamentals of the world geopolitics that skewed the U.S. market open out of my edge. So it's no longer in my edge. But I never know when it's going to be back in my edge, right? I have years of doing this way. So all I can do is just sit here and keep executing flawlessly, honor my stop losses, and wait for the market to realign with my edge. And as I pick up on patterns like lately, first trade has been the same. It's been red this week. Okay, well, let's look at the weeks before that. Has that continued to be an issue? Well, for the last few weeks, yeah, some of them red, but no, not really an issue. But if it keeps being an issue, then I'll change. But just 1 week, it's like you got to weather it. Anyways, I don't really have any setups. If we invalidate a majority of this drop, I can be triggered into calls if one is much stronger than the other one. I'm not really looking for puts though. We just have too much demand. It's too strong. And by strong, I mean the demand is too strong. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So my exact thing that I said was no bias for today, feeling uneasy about puts due to heavy demand. But if we come up with a lot of momentum and invalidate this drop, calls to the pre-market high pivots look fine. And I said, quote, I'd highly doubt I'd take a loss 4 days in a row in the same fashion. LOL. Final last words right there. Oh, those are my final words. And if you zoom into the 1 minute, to this pre-market high, that's far. But, this is actually kind of a smaller pivot. But this looks pretty good. I mean, we're in, a bunch of demand at the moment. If we invalidate a majority of this drop, I think it looks okay. Market didn't open with a huge green candle. That's different. SPX look okay. SPX puts would look okay if there was no demand. Q calls would look okay. They definitely look better because there's demand, but as you can see, ES is a lot weaker than NQ. So it's either shorts on ES, longs on NQ, puts SPX, calls QQQ. But again, I don't want to bet against the demand. So if this selling wick invalidates, I will enter calls. That's my plan. And, not going to lie, I was kind of tempting to enter puts here. I didn't really want to do it. We have a bunch of smaller pivots here. I just didn't, the demand looked too strong. And that ended up being a great decision. NQ invalidated a majority of this red candle, one more solid green candle, and I would like to enter calls. And I didn't enter on this candle. If the next candle opened bullish and we fully invalidated this selling wick, I'd love to get into calls up here. I'd love to do that. NQ, look how much stronger it is than ES. It's bouncing. It made a lower low in demand, so swept liquidity in demand. It's very heavy multi-hour demand. It looks like a 2-hour, a 3-hour, and a 4-hour demand. PT will be here. Looks great, And then the next candle opened. I filled right in the beginning of the candle, and I got a fantastic fill. I filled right here at 75 cents. And I said filled a tad early due to strength, but great fill so far. This is a beautiful trade. I'd take this exact same trade tomorrow. Call started chopping a bunch, though. Yeah, you can see that they were starting to chop quite a bit. No volatility whatsoever. So much potential. I think you end up flipping a little bit weaker during periods, but look at all these selling wicks. It's a lot of shorts entering the market. If I could get one singular candle to close right here, I am 90% confident we will get a short squeeze due to those wicks being invalidated. We'll get a short squeeze to the pre-market high. Every single one of these selling wicks are created from buyers pushing price action up, sellers entering the market to push it back down. Right? This isn't really a take profit level right here. These are shorts entering, and I believe if we can just close one candle here, that'll start getting shorts that entered here. Maybe it is invalidating. And then next candle opens green, shorts start covering. Looks great. So this had a lot of potential, but I really didn't like how much it was hesitating. And unfortunately, it did break to the downside. I stopped out on this candle. I told you guys it was either going to be a stop loss raid or a short squeeze. And I took a loss there. I didn't feel for that big of a loss though. I need to check. Let me check my Thinkorswim because I'm looking at it now and I didn't post it in my channel. Yeah, it was like 56 cents. That's what it was. I swear I posted that on my channel, did I not? 56. No. So anyways, I don't know what the math is. It's 28%, I think. Unfortunately, it was a higher percentage because, you know, the call's chopped. But yeah. So again, I don't want to take puts. I mean, I wouldn't mind taking puts, but it'd have to be very specific. We have a minor pivot here at the bottom of this demand. If we come all the way down here, I'll start leaning bearish for the demand to break. This is a nice minor pivot here that's been tested already. But what I need is I need it to come down here, stall, and then bearishly consolidate, and then I can take a scalp to the next demand cluster. That looks fine. And it got close. Right here, it got so close. ES was weaker than NQ. I just needed a little bit more of an NQ bounce. Unfortunately, did not fill my puts, and I freaking missed it, which sucks. So that didn't help my psychology at all this morning. So I missed out on that one. And we got to the liquidity sweep. And I can't just chase it. Like, I can't just enter puts down here in heavy demand. And now I really can't enter puts because now we are sweeping liquidity in demand on ES with a massive volume spike and a buying wick. That's like the most clear reversal signal you can have. Doesn't mean it's going to reverse, but the chances are pretty high. Astronomically higher than any other reversal setup. And I called that out. So missing those puts was pretty frustrating. It is what it is, though. And I'm definitely not entering a reversal trade here because I'm not very trusting of the market. And so I called out the reversal right here, and it did actually happen beautifully. I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty bullish. As you can see, ES has invalidated a lot more of this recent drop. Sorry, invalidated half of it. NQ's nowhere close to invalidating half of it. So ES is a lot stronger coming out of demand. Okay, so it's a lot stronger. We swept liquidity with a volume spike, and we've invalidated majority of the move just about. Hey, if we get one more solid green candle up to here, I'm in calls again. This is freaking beautiful, right? 100%. Well, the next candle happened, and I filled right when there was 10 seconds left in the candle, right after I filled. Literally, like, I filled, and then not even a second after, it put in the most horrendous selling wick ever. And I'm like, oh, no shot. And I told you guys I wouldn't take this trade if that selling wick doesn't invalidate. And it invalidated on the next candle and then ended up flipping red. So a lot of you guys didn't even take this trade because it just right after. It was the most beautiful bull trap ever. So technically, like, if I were trading in replay mode, I wouldn't enter here because of that candle. But because it put in that wick really late into the candle, and keep in mind, I can't afford to just keep waiting and waiting and waiting for the candle to close all the way. Look how bad the risk reward's getting. I'm going to have to go to the next PT, which is a lot further and a lot lower odds. So I waited till the last 10 seconds like I think I filled with 11 seconds left, and literally before the 10th second hit of the candle, it put in that selling wick. So yeah, this one sucked. This was a loss right away. I stopped out literally on this candle. So yeah, that was not fun. So anyways, that was like minus whatever. Oh, I did type it. Okay. Yeah, I did type the minus 56. Anyways, I filled those at 2.6. I stopped out at 2.05 right here. Not a huge loss. I think it was like 20%. But yeah, that just freaking sucks. And I can't enter puts because we just made a lower low on NQ. And I told you guys, like, I'm really bearish for NQ next demand, but I can't. We're already in demand on ES. We're on this pivot here on NQ. There's just not a lot of room. It's not high probability enough. And here's the issue with me entering puts here. Even though I said in my channel, like, I wish I could enter puts, like, I am bearish for it to get to demand, but I'm not allowed. Here's one of the big reasons why, not just because it's in demand and NQ's at low of day already. The problem is if I enter and it stops out, I have to get back into. First off, look at the risk to reward, okay? My stop loss wouldn't be until at least here. The NQ demand's here. Best case scenario, the 1-to-1 is here, and that's probably going to happen after ES sweeps this next pivot, which is at the low of this demand, and that this is a major one here. So not only is the risk to reward bad, but if I stop out of this trade, I have to re-enter those SPX calls. I have to. ES is still stronger. It's an even, especially if it sweeps a lower low, it's even a better trade than previously. So I just simply can't enter, because if I enter and I stop out, I have to enter this. If I stop out of that, then again, just like yesterday, you open the door to getting stopped out a million times in a row super fast, rapidly deteriorating your trade psychology. Before you know it, you're just entering trades to try to make money back, and I don't do that, right? Or at least I try not to. Pretty high percentage of the time I'm successful at that. So I keep that door shut, which is very important. So I can't take these puts. It's just I'm not willing to lose money on this trade. I'm not willing to open the door that it would open, and it is a chase, you know. But I'm like, okay, well, I will enter if ES can get close to low of day and then give me some kind of small consolidation to raise the odds a bit. And then I can put my stop loss much closer because I'm betting on the bearish consolidation rather than just the general trend. It didn't happen, and it got there. So I'm like, well, that's great. So it got there, and, you know, I'm not seeing any trades. NQ's in demand now. That's a reversal candlestick setup. And it freaking played out. Look at that. It's beautiful. Surely I'm not going to get hornswoggled 3 times in a row. Well, I took an early entry here. I filled at the close of this candle. I filled the SPX calls. The 67.85 calls at 2.45 at the end of this candle. Kind of a red flag, but I thought I was getting a better deal. This is a huge green candle, as you can see, but the call premiums, this was the candle. It opened at like 2.2 here. It got to 2.8, and it closed here at 2.45. So I thought I was just getting a good deal. This was the worst chop I've seen all year. See how it's going like nothing but up right now? And this is a big, like these are big moves. It's 75 points of PT. It's already up, or 75 ticks. It's already up 20 ticks. I am literally red on this trade right here. I am literally red on this trade. It was the freaking biggest scam hornswoggle options decay I've seen all year. And I keep, like, I already said that once this week. We keep setting new records, unfortunately. But anyways, it was a freaking great entry. But I finally hit break even right here. Like, you guys don't understand how freaking detrimental it was to watch this happen. This was so frustrating. The chop was so horrendous. I finally hit green by like 15% at the tippy top of this candle. And then I was red again. I'm like, well, shit. I have to stop out if it comes back to break even. Because if it gets to my stop loss, I'm going to lose like 40%, 50% on this trade. And I'm unwilling to take that big of a loss. So sometimes, unfortunately, even though your trade idea isn't fully invalidated, one of the many burdens with options trading is you can't just hold to your stop loss. You're going to have to sell early. It's one of the nice things about futures that people take for granted is you're not betting against time. I am. And I guess a lot of it was ticking. So anyways, I stopped out right at break even. Not here. It came back up. Here I thought there was a chance. Okay, so on this candle, the calls shot up. They shot up higher than they were right here. They shot up to like here. The high they got right here was like 2.65, which is 20 cents over my break even. They shot up to 2.8 right here. So I'm like, oh, the shorts are going to get squeezed out. Like, this looks great. We have an inverse head and shoulders. This looks freaking solid. Then the next candle wiped it out. And we did get higher up, but we didn't make any gains. These calls never got above where they got on this candle here. So the rest of it was just decay and chop. And I was telling you guys, like, this is the biggest freaking red flag I've ever seen. I don't know why there is so much outflow on these calls to completely offset the Greeks. Actually, this got a little bit higher. Right here, I was finally up. I'll have like 15%. They got to 2.9. My average was 2.45. But then on this candle here at 713, they got all the way back up to being up only 10 cents. And the very next candle, they dropped into the red. Or was it this one? Yeah. No, it was this one. So I was back pretty much break even on this candle. I was only up 10 cents a contract. This candle, I was red on the position. I stopped out on this candle. Or not this one. Hang on. One second. I'm pulling it up in my options channel. I don't have that open. I stopped out in the beginning of this candle here. I filled one. Oh, I'm looking right now. I filled a couple of my contracts at 2.05, but it looks like I actually stopped more. I stopped a lot at like 1.9. I did not get a very good fill. I just market sold 1.95-ish. Anyways, I stopped out roughly on average at like 2.0 a contract at break even. Like I sold before it touched break even, and I took like a 20% loss on it. So that's how my options day ended. And the two trades I was confirmed into on futures. This one, this one right here, stopped out 1 minute later. Boom. And then at the very end of my futures trading session. Right here. Surely I won't stop out 5 times on the. Again, this is typically so bullish. Like you're making lower lows and validating a majority of the move. It's freaking beautiful. Entered long right here. Stopped out again. Broke to the downside. It started being green for a second. Here. So literally 0 and 5. Literally 0 and 5 today. The market did nothing but freaking chop downwards, but like aggressively. And there was one put trade that was so close to entering, but didn't fill me. That would have been green. But otherwise, every freaking trade was flawless. The only thing that would have been different in replay mode is if I saw this selling wick, I wouldn't have entered. So that one was technically preventable, but not really, because if I keep waiting, then my risk reward goes down. I'll miss the trade anyways. So there's not much I can do about that. That's just a clean hornswoggle there. But yeah, it was a freaking rough day. It was a very rough day. And then I was actually tempted to break my rules on futures trading when I saw this coming up and re-entered the trade again. I wasn't at my computer, but I saw it on my phone. I'm like, Gosh, it's failed to break to the upside so often. Every single major high is a lower high, and we keep making lower lows. Not gonna lie, for the first time in a while, I was tempted. Didn't do it though, and I would have got absolutely freaking hornswoggled. Look at that. So if you make the hard decision to follow your rules, even though you're tempted, right? You step through those voices, you step through those temptations to follow your rules. Make sure to check back, and that's why I pinged you guys about earlier today. Make sure to check back and see what would have happened. Most of the time, you saved money. And you need to document that and note that, because if you don't check back, if you follow your rules and you don't check and be like, okay, what would have happened if I didn't honor my stop loss? For all the trades in general. What happens if I continue to trade a day instead of walking away? What would have happened? And if you find that you were way better off following your rules, that reinforces good psychology. And next time you're tempted to break your rules, there's a higher chance you're going to make the right decision, because last time if you broke them, it would have hurt a lot. And yeah, this is literally, look at this. This I ran, like, look how terrible this is. Hang on, it gets better. Look at that. My arch, that's even worse. That's literally even worse than what I went through this morning. This is my arch nemesis. This happening and never breaking to the upside. Like I will never make money in this. It's so rare that I make money in this with my trading strategy, which is fine. With any legitimate strategy, there's always going to be days where you have 100% certainty of losing and doing nothing but losing if this specific type of price action happens, right? If no pivots get swept, and we just chop down or chop upwards all day, I'm not going to be able to make any money, and that's fine because that happens what at the maximum during a rough month, like once every 5 days, once a week maybe. As bad as today, like once every 20 trading days. But as far as like general red days and stuff, where I just lose a lot more than I win, um, no more than once a week, so it's fine because the odds are still in your favor over the long period of time, over the large series of events. You just need to accept it. But look at this. This is freaking brutal. Did it even break out at the end of the day? No, it didn't even break out to the upside at the end of the day. What a scam. But yeah, that was my day. I had to relive my nightmares to do this trade review, so hopefully you guys appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, I can't complain. If you look back at every single one of my trades, it's very well put together. I don't regret any of my trades. Every single, even though there's many, which is kind of rare, even though there were many stop losses, every single stop loss saved me money. If I didn't honor one of those stop losses, I would have been in trouble because it continued past my stop loss. A pretty decent amount as well. So type in chat. Do you guys have any questions or comments on the analysis that I just shared? If not, I'll go ahead and post this on YouTube, and then we have our group 4 meeting. Everyone's good? All right, sweet. Well, I'm going to post this on YouTube. Hopefully, at least you guys honored your rules today. And, when you guys see me live trade the way I do, and you see me react, like, there's gonna be some days where it's gonna be near impossible to not want to freaking punch a hole through your screen. Today was one of those days. You can rage on the market, you can curse it out, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't break any of your rules, and that's just the biggest thing. So you guys see me enduring that, honoring my stop losses, not breaking my rules, being tempted to break my rules and still not, and you see the results of that. Hopefully, when you guys are tempted yourselves, you literally see me get absolutely just pounding sand today, just absolutely hornswoggled by the market, and I didn't break my rules. That should be motivation for you to do the same. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need a cigar and a whiskey today, that's for sure. But all right, you guys have a blessed rest of your day. If I don't talk to you again, we'll have a study session later tonight. And yeah, this week's been freaking trash, man. Hopefully tomorrow is better. But you know what? If it's not better, we'll still honor our stop losses, and whatever happens, happens. Hopefully the week after that is better. We'll just keep saying hopefully until it is. If it doesn't within a reasonable amount of time, then we have work to do on our strategy. And by we, I mean me. So, all right. I'll see you guys later.